Pat yourself on the back. You have now a MS Build based web deploy package ready. In this video, we're going to take this a step forward and talk about creating database packages for database deployments. Now, you can't really have a DevOps process where you have siloed teams taking care of web applications, but then a separate team taking care of database applications. And unless you merge the two together, you're always going to have this, oh, my web components are ready and I've got a package that can deploy web. But the DBAs kind of do it manually, so I'll have to raise a service ticket, engage them, and then they'll log on to the server, run a script. Can't scale that operation. So unless you bring your database into the same DevOps process that your development teams are using, you're not going to be able to fully automate your pipeline. Now, Visual Studio has always supported database projects natively within the IDE. And in this demo, we'll look at how you can add a new database project, simply importing an existing database schema that you may already have, how easy it is to create scripts, have those scripts run as post-deployment steps, and then how easy it is to plug that into a build pipeline to create what's called a DAC file. Now, in this video, we'll only cover creating the DAC file. In a future video, we'll talk about how we can take that DAC file and deploy it into a database that's live. And if you're doing greenfield development, that process only gets simple. All right, in this video, we're going to focus exclusively on SQL packages. And let's get started with a demo. OK, so I'm going to come into Visual Studio. And the same Summit solution that we've been working on from the previous demo, I've simply added a new database project in there. Let me walk you through what I've done here. If I right-click the solution and choose Add, and choose New Project, I have an option of SQL Server as a project type. Now, you could go into SQL Server, select this project type, and give it a name. After you've done that, you would have a SQL Server type of project in your solution. Now, if you already have a schema available that you want to bring into version control, then hover over to Import, and you can either import an existing data tier application, a database, or scripts. In my case, I've created this very simple schema from scratch, and I was able to do it because of the SQL Server tools that are available natively within Visual Studio. So let me give you a quick view of what I've created here. I've created a campaign table. This campaign table records the campaigns that the marketing team is running. And then on the back of that, I've got a campaign details table, which records the start and the end and the percentage discount and whether the campaign is active or not. Very simple schema. But I know for a fact that when I roll this out in a test environment, the first thing I'm going to get is, can we have all our campaigns preloaded in the database? And you could go ahead and script that. If you know SQL, it's fairly easy to create a script. But rather than creating just blank insert statement scripts, please pad your scripts with a sanity check to check whether the data is already there or not. And the reason for doing that is then your script is fully idempotent. You could run the same script again and again against the same database, and if the record already exists, then it's not going to insert the record. By doing so, you enable your script to be run from an automated process. If the script is pretty dumb and just vaguely inserting data, regardless of checking whether the data already exists, then people are going to say, oh, it's a one-off script, let's just run it manually, because if we run it multiple times, it's just going to insert useless data. Now, once we have the script in place and it's padded to check whether the data exists or not, you could simply go ahead and add a post-deployment script. Now, the difference between a normal script and a post-deployment script is in the properties file. If I look at the property files for this, property of this file, you would see that the build action is set to no, which means while this script would be copied into the destination folder, it's not going to be checked in the compile process. Whereas the post-deployment script has a build action. We're telling that this is a post-deployment script. After the compile process finishes, pick this script up and execute it. Now, within the script, I'm using SQL CMD mode. And within SQL CMD mode, I'm saying, as part of this script, I want you to go and pick up this script that I've created, which has got the data I need inserted. Now, rather than having 1 mega post-deployment script, what I've here done is I've broken this post-deployment script into individual subscripts that I can control through the post-deployment script. Now, for example, I'm saying campaign for April 2017. If I was to create campaigns for May 2017, then I could have a separate SQL script which gets called from the post-deployment script. So it kind of all nicely ties in together. So if I close this, now that we've seen what the solution is, we're going to go back into the build definition. This is the same build definition from the previous video. You can see I haven't made any changes here. And because of the nice integration between Visual Studio, database projects, MS Build, without making any further changes, if you run the same build definition, it's going to detect that there are additional outputs generated in the bin file of the configuration type that you're running the build for, and it will include that as an artifact once it publishes the artifact. As you can see in the build solution, it's simply building what we're telling it to build, right? We aren't saying go and build the DB project specifically. It just picks that up by looking at the solution configuration file here. Let's configuration manager. You can see that we're telling compile this project as part of the MS build. It just picks that up, compiles it. We don't make any further changes. And then as part of the publish process, it says, I'm going to look in the bin folder of the build configuration. The build configuration is release in this case, and find anything and publish it as an artifact. So let's run this up and see what the output looks like. Great, as you can see, the build succeeded. If we go back into the build definition and look at artifacts and click explore, you would see that in addition to the tests and the web deploy package, we have a new folder called SummitDB. And if we navigate into the build folder in release, you can see that it's not only taken the DLL that's compiled from the DB project, it's also created a DACPack file and has the SQL script as part of the post-deployment step as well. Now, you don't see the post-deploy scripts separately because it's included within the DACPack file, but the DACPack then has a reference to this file. Considering all of this is in one folder, when we trigger the deployment, it will do a full fidelity schema compare of the target database with the DACPack contents, generate an alter script or a deploy script on the fly, and then do the deployment. But we'll see this in action in a future video when we go off to deploy our database. This video was very much focused on just creating an output by importing an existing database into a database project. So, in this video, we saw how easy it is to bring your database into a version control system, how easy it is to create post-deployment scripts, and then padding those scripts with checks so that they are idempotent and can be run multiple times. And then using the same build definition, leveraging the integration that Visual Studio has with all of this tooling, is without taking any further steps, we were able to create a DACPack file. Now that we have a build process that creates a web package, creates a database package, I think we're ready to explore how we can start releasing this cool stuff that we've created using our build pipelines. So join me in the next video where we'll start to look into that.